Ever since Hezbollah joined Hamas and the Palestinian resistance in Al-Aqsa flood on the 8th of October, they have been constantly escalating. Now, there's been recently increasing talks in Israel about the need to address Hezbollah. Previously, the Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said that Israel is treating Hezbollah and the Lebanese front in a different manner. So even if they would have a ceasefire with Gaza, they would continue with Lebanon because that's a different threat. Israel is suffering massively. In the north, over 100,000 settlers were evacuated, many of them, some half, some 70% in certain towns said they're not coming back to these towns because they do not feel secure and Israel has no answer. Hezbollah intensified their attacks from last month onwards with quality attacks taking down the most expensive and largest Israeli UAVs, targeting specific Israeli bases in the north and setting the north alight. Just today we've had over 50 missiles launched at the northern parts of Israel, reaching up to Haifa, which is one of the deepest points Hezbollah reached so far. This has ignited the debate again and suspicions that Benjamin Netanyahu might use the potential coming ceasefire in Gaza to prepare for an all-out war in Lebanon. Many people are warning from that, including the US. The US previously told Israel, you cannot contain this war if you go on an all-out war with Lebanon, and you don't know where that would reach. This is coming after reports from Lebanon quoted senior figures in the Palestinian resistance and sources close to Iran that following the death of Ibrahim Raisi, there was a big meeting between the IRGC, the Quds Force, and representatives of all of the resistance fronts. This included Ismail Haniyeh, the leading figure in Hamas, the leader of Hamas's political bureau, the Secretary General's deputy of Hezbollah, Naim Qassem, a representative from the PIJ, also the Deputy Secretary General, and another representative from the PFLP, and also representatives of the Iraqi resistance and the Yemeni resistance in Iran after the death of Ibrahim Raisi and his companions in the helicopter crash. They released some interesting bits of information which stated that the whole resistance fronts decided to escalate from that point onwards. So all what we've been seeing in the past 2 to 3 weeks has been confirmed with this united front from the resistance, and all of that was meant to push Netanyahu to agree to a ceasefire. Clearly, there have been results. Now you're talking about a UN resolution pushed by the US that went against everything they were calling for previously. They previously vetoed ceasefire proposals in the UN ever since this genocide began and could have prevented everything. But now they are pushing for a ceasefire. However, Benjamin Netanyahu could use this to temporarily have a relief because he's suffering massively. In Gaza, they've suffered a great defeat in Gaza from the Palestinian resistance, and it's clearly showing that the army is incapable of defeating Hamas and reaching the objectives of the war. And there was also something very interesting that was published in that report from Lebanon, that's Potshot, published, by the way. They said that Yahya Sinwar in particular sent a message to Hassan Nasrallah telling him that there needs to be an escalation. Imagine with all of this devastation, he said there needs to be an escalation, even if that means we have another Karbala, let it be another Karbala, in reference to one of the toughest periods in Islamic history. What we're seeing now in terms of de-escalation from Gaza could be linked to a preparation for an all-out war with Lebanon, because many people still feel in Israel that they did not have a satisfactory answer to the threats from Hezbollah, and we already had the top figures in Israel saying that it will be a very hot summer in Lebanon.